I want to talk to you quickly about the manual bidding mistakes you need to avoid this year if you're trying to really optimize your CPC Google ad campaigns. Okay, it's important to understand that in September 2024, that's not really too long ago. Google announced that the enhanced CPC bid strategy will be going away. Okay, so as of the date of this show, you can still use eCPC, but it's getting phased out of both accounts, and is slated to be a thing of the past. Let's say come March 2025. So what happens here is that instead of relying on eCPC, which will soon no longer be an option, you could transform your strategy to align actually with manual CPC bidding. So this is important from a scalability point of view, okay? So let me talk to you about the CPC or Google Ads mistakes that you need to really you need to avoid this year. Number one, not knowing when to use manual CPC bidding. You'll be really surprised. A lot of advertisers, marketers, and entrepreneurs have no idea when to use manual CPC bidding, and that's actually driving their cost of ads high. Okay, so with eCPC going away, advertisers will still have to choose whether they should now use automated or manual bidding. So one of Google's suggestions is to actually test out automated smart bidding, which is always a good idea, by the way. Okay, if a machine can do a good job for you and save you some time, why not leverage it, right? So while the majority of advertisers actually use automated smart bidding strategies, it's important to understand that basically this video is actually for those folks who don't see good results with automated bidding for one reason or another. Okay, maybe let's say you're just starting a new campaign and don't have any performance history to go off of. Perhaps you have a low conversion volume, and Google's machine learning can never really detect any patterns. Or let's say you are low on budget and don't need actually, and you actually don't need to find a way. You need to find a way to keep cost low, right? You want to really make sure you control your ROI, your ROAS, your ROAS. So these are all examples of times you could try manual CPC bidding in Google Ads. Okay, so no matter the reason, if you are going to be using manual CPC, this video is definitely for you. You also have irregular performance reviews. So one of the first problems that we see with most accounts using manual CPC is that they don't have a regular review process. You need to have that review process on a regular basis. That way you can really catch problems as they arise, okay? So if you don't have a review process, it seems like every once in a while, basically, the whole process crosses the manager's mind to check bids, but sometimes the next review is a week later, other times is a month later, then maybe a couple of days, okay? So without a regular cadence of reviews, it's hard to consistently see better performance from your ads, because the thing is that there is a trial and error process. There is an iteration process embedded in the review process. So the change history actually can really, if you see a change history while going through your CPC campaigns, that can really help you big time, because you are able to see exactly what works and what doesn't work. Okay, you can actually, for instance, pay attention to strong performance in your ads. Okay, in your ads scenarios, strong performers, low performers, and outliers. Okay, so strong performers will be, for instance, keywords with CPAs below $100. Low performance will be converting keywords with CPA over $100. And outliers will actually be keywords with extremely high CPAs, likely 3 times or even 5 times the CPA target, or high spend and no conversions, right? So what you want to do is that you want to really, when you go through a review process, you have a clear idea what your strong performers are, the low performers are, and the outliers. And so you are able, for instance, to keep a weekly check-in when the task falls on the same day of the week, you can say, you know what, I'm going to do this review every Monday or every Friday, for instance. Secondly, keywords are being regularly reviewed and adjusted to hit performance goals. Okay, and you'll basically have the chance to notice that weekly actually is not the only cadence that you should have, depending on the niche you're in, depending on your ad strategy. Maybe you want to go to every 2 days or every 3 days. It really depends. Okay, so you have to see what works for your specific situation. Another way to and another thing to avoid when it comes to manual bidding in Google Ads, think about incorrect look back windows. So the challenge when reviewing performance regularly is to always make sure you have the right look back window in use. Because if you keep changing the look back window, you're really sort of lying to yourself, because you would not have the right sort of historical context to actually compare and contrast against. So if you were to launch a keyword on July 15th and then have weekly check-ins based on the data since launch, your timeline may actually look like what I'm showing you on the screen here. The problem is when you make adjustments on those windows, it's actually going to look a little more like something different, okay? With the performance data from the first week being included in week 3 or week 4, okay? So, and that really depends also on the setup you have originally. And that's an important element to really keep in mind. So instead, what you want to do is you want to look for short-term weekly reviews to be mutually exclusive of each other. That way, you know exactly that the one week is not actually impacting the next. Okay, and so basically, you can move your keyword bids up and down based on how a keyword is performing with that given bid, and not discounting or enhancing its performance with past data. So the easiest rule of thumb, you want to look back to when you did the last review. So weekly looks back a week, monthly looks back a month, and so on and so forth. Okay. By the way, you can also do a 2 days, 3 days, or whatever works for you. So technically, the monthly and quarterly reviews will overlap with the weekly changes you are making, but it really depends on, again, how you set things up in the first place. Another mistake you need to really avoid when it comes to manual bidding has to deal with poor degrees of bid adjustments. So basically, you have to understand that when you think about bid adjustments, you are getting closer to you're looking at the kind of CPAs you have, right? But also, you have to understand that you have to bake the bid adjustment into the review you have. So, you can have a review layers for a weekly, monthly, and quarterly, depending on the setup that you have, right? But you might also have monthly and quarterly reviews with overlap with weekly adjustments. But the degrees of changes here should be relative to the date range that you are looking at. Okay, so for weekly changes, you want to keep your bid changes small. The date range is smaller. Think about it. So the changes should reflect that. So typically, if performance is close-ish to the target CPA, you want to adjust by 10% or 15% or even 20%. And if something looks really bad or good in a given week, let's say 2x or 3x the CPA target, or only at half, then it will make a 15%, then you will make a 15% or even 30% adjustment. Okay. Now, as you get into longer time frames like a monthly review, your percentage of bid changes grows. So that grows big time. Now you are looking at 20, 30, or 35%. So same thing with quarterly changes. Your bid changes might be an additional 25, 30, or even 40%. Or you might even think about pausing a keyword altogether. So effectively, what happens here is that this monthly and quarterly bid changes can really help you get more insights into, let's say, long-term performance, and will also allow you an opportunity to get more or less aggressive on a keyword as compared to the weekly reviews, really. Okay. So, one thing I want to really say here is that when doing those longer reviews, don't forget to use your best judgments. Rules make it easy to do the work, but if you have a hesitation, explore it. So if a keyword has converted but has, let's say, a CPA that's 2.5x or even 3.5x your target, maybe check to see if it's trending in the right direction with your weekly changes before pausing it or giving it a big bid cut, right? So that will help you big time, especially when it comes to optimize your bid strategy. Another mistake when it comes to manual bidding has to do with conducting long-term performance reviews. So there's a big mistake that you really need to pay attention to. So not conducting long-term performance reviews is going to cost you big time. So in addition to the monthly, the weekly, the quarterly reviews, you also want to check back to even longer date ranges. So there are two sides to this longer reviews, and this will depend on the kind of niche you have. So first, even with the shorter time frame reviews, you could be missing out on the overall impact of a keyword, and that happens all the time because the industry is changing and Google is adjusting its data set. So with longer term reviews, like let's say a half year or an annual look back windows, you can see the weight each keyword carries in your account. Does one keyword account for more than 20% of the conversions? Is one category of keywords dragging up the CPA because they are higher on average? So without looking at longer ranges, you may not see those trends at all. So that's the first part. Second, while the shorter time frames that I gave you a little earlier help with keywords that are likely to have decent volume and have some conversion performance, there is a category of keywords that usually is only discovered with this longer term reviews. So this is actually the silent thief, okay? So basically, one thing you need to understand here is that basically, if you go, let's say, from 1 month to 2 months to 6 months, you're gonna see changes. But I mean, changes in terms of 2x or 3x or 4x or even 5x the CPA target. Okay, but what you want to do is you want to really lower. You want to lower your bid, but you want to adjust your strategy too. Because if you don't have, let's say, a longer range for review, you will be left at maybe quarterly or even monthly. But this may actually show you maybe a 2x or even 1x CPA spend with no conversions. Why do you spend that much money if you see no conversions, right? So this is not really good. Another mistake that I've seen actually when it comes to manual bidding is actually not leveraging all bid modifiers. So if you are listening to me this year and you're doing manual bidding and you're not really leveraging bid modifiers, you're really losing big. Okay, let me explain. So basically, I mean, we've just been talking about keywords in the last few minutes, but one of those mistakes that I see with manual CPC is that most advertisers, entrepreneurs, and marketers don't take advantage of all the other bid modifiers available in Google Ads. So what happens here is that unlike all the smart bidding strategies, manual CPC is compatible with all the bid modifiers, including audiences. So that's a big bid modifier, audiences. You have devices, you have demographics, you have ad scheduling, and more. So it depends on, if you ask me what's the better bid modifier, I would say, well, it depends on the industry you're in. Okay. I'm not suggesting, though, by the way, I'm not suggesting that you review all of those bid modifiers on, let's say, a weekly basis. Likely, monthly and quarterly reviews will suffice for this, since more data will need to accrue, but this should absolutely be part of your regular process. Now, you could do this on let's say on a weekly basis if you have the data set. Let's say you are selling, you have an online store and your customer journey is shorter. So your conversion path is shorter, then you might have more data on a weekly basis. Okay, but basically, it's just better to go with monthly or quarterly. Now, each of these bid modifiers will be in a different place, right? You have to understand that basically you have to see what works for you. You'll be able to add a percentage increase or decrease to your target layer to decide if you want to get more or less aggressive in that segment. So, just like with keywords, these percentages should all be based on performance because performance are going to drive the kind of ROAS, ROAS that you have, the ad spend that you really allocate to a specific keyword. So the takeaway here is that when it comes to manual bidding mistakes to avoid, you need to pay attention to the fact that your setup is going to determine the kind of mistakes you are more likely to make. Okay, but when it comes to the Google Ads mistake, no, just remember that it's all about being informed about the process. So, for instance, not knowing when to use manual CPC bidding, it's just an informational mistake, really. I mean, because the more you know about the manual CPC bidding, the better you get at it. Because manual CPC bidding takes quite a bit of time to do properly. Okay, but if you think about it, it's a great solution for campaigns that need a little more attention and don't see good results from smart bidding strategies. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to make a schedule, keep to it, and you'll get the most from manual CPC bidding. So now, for more help navigating this process, for more help managing your search ad bidding strategies, let me know in the comment section, and I'll certainly explain things further to you, so you have a clear idea how to direct your ad dollars. Okay. One thing I want to say also is that when it comes to manual CPC bidding, you have to understand that things are changing all the time. That's why I was just telling you to have regular performance reviews. If you have irregular performance reviews, you're gonna miss a lot of things because if Google is updating its ad algorithm all the time, and you are just doing reviews maybe 6 months, every 6 months or every 3 months, every quarter, you're missing out on a lot of things. And just make sure that you have the right look back windows too. Otherwise, you will be looking at the wrong data set. Okay. And finally, just be sure that you are basically having the right degree of bid adjustment, especially when it comes to getting things done from a scalability point of view. You know exactly what works and you know what doesn't work, and this is how you want to get things done in the first place. Okay. And one thing I want you to remember here is that everything depends on the kind of strategy you have at the end of the day, because your strategy might change based on the specific data setup that you have. In conclusion, to this conversation, I just shared with you 6 common manual bidding mistakes to avoid. And I talked to you about the CPC Google Ads mistakes, the takeaway, and now the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.